Testing one, two, three. Beautiful. All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachaha Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, the great millstone rule well. And upon this word in truth and sincerity, peace and mercy to the whole full elect, starting with the 144,000 are on down. That's also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. All right, I'm your fellow servant of Moth of JMS Toronto. Once again, coming at you with another live lesson. Okay, and in this live lesson, I'm going to be getting into First Corinthians, the 7th chapter now. Okay, and this will be a part one. Yeah, it's about 40 verses in this chapter, so this will be a part one. Okay, low will this lesson straightforward, edifying to the whole full elect. And as you see here, the title is Teaching on Marriage. Okay, teaching on marriage, which I mean, even though this is a topic that I wouldn't say it's not frowned upon, but it is a very important topic because when you go into the union between a man and a woman, it really reflects the union between spiritually, of course, between man and the Most High. Okay, and right now, us, right, the whole full elect, starting the 144,000, being the bride, right, our union with Yahweh Shai, who is the bridegroom. Okay, the church plus the elect, right, and Yahweh Shai is Yahweh Shai, of course. So, when you look at the union between man and woman, it represents all these things spiritually. Okay, so let's get right into it. So it says here, 1 Corinthians 7:1. Now concerning these things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman, nevertheless to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every man have her own husband, right? It says, and that's true. Actually, let me read that again in NLT to see how it sounds. It says, now regarding the questions you asked in your letter, yes, it is good to abstain from sexual relations. And this is more so pertaining to because you're doing the work of the Lord, right? And if you have a woman, you have a family, you totally understand, all right, the burden, okay, that comes with having that while you're trying to serve the Lord. This is why Paul's giving counsel on this topic. So now, regarding the questions you ask in your letter, yes, it is good to abstain from sexual relations, but because there is so much sexual immorality, and how much more now? Okay, each man should have his own wife, and each woman should have her own husband. Okay, and Paul's going to, in terms of the woman, that should go without saying, because a woman that has multiple men, is a woman that's defiled. Okay, but in terms of the men, if you're a man that's serving the Lord right now and you don't have a woman, I'm pretty sure it's in this chapter that Paul speaks about how don't seek to bind yourself to a woman. But if you're burning and you have to, just get yourself one woman, all right, or pay for, all right, the action. Okay, you can go pay for it and get back to doing the work. The most important thing for an Israelite man to do right now, more so than ever, is serve the Lord. Okay, and teach if you're a prophet. Now let's go here to Tobit. Quick precept, Tobit 8:6. It says, Thou madest Adam, and gaveth him Eve, his wife, for an helper. Okay, so if you don't have a woman and you're looking for a woman, you have to be wise. You have to make sure that you find a woman that's going to be beneficial to your life, and not just your life overall, but beneficial to you serving the Lord. Okay, she has to be beneficial in some shape or form to you serving the Lord, or else why would you take upon yourself a woman that won't benefit you in serving the Lord? basically bring yourself under more demonic uh, um, uh, oppression, because we know women are what? Are conduits, right? The serpent didn't come to Adam first for a reason, right? So it says, "Thou madest Adam and gaveth him Eve, his wife, for an helper and a stay. Of them came mankind. Thou hast said, it is not good that man should be alone. Let us make unto him an aid like unto himself." Right? Once again, reiterating the notion that you can't just pick up any woman out here on the streets. All right. If you want to bind yourself to a woman, make sure you scout her out. Okay, scout her out and see if she's beneficial to you in your walk in any shape or form. Okay. And now, O Lord, I take not this my sister for lust, but uprightly. Okay. So you're not just having a woman because you want some bucks. You can pay for that and not have to deal with the stress of having her around all the time. Okay, so you got to be wise once again. Okay, and now, O Lord, I take not this my sister, all right, for lust, but uprightly, right? Therefore, mercifully ordain that we may become aged together. And she said with him, Amen. All right, so that's just an example I wanted to bring out in terms of the mindset if you're going to bind yourself to a woman, especially here in Babylon the Great in 2026, man. Okay, but you're better off without one. Okay. Anyhow, it says here, 1 Corinthians 7:3, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. Let's look at the word benevolence real quick. So the quality of being well-meaning, kindness. Okay, straightforward. So do benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. It says the wife hath not power over her own body. Yeah, because she's a possession. A woman is a possession, and she belongs to um her possessor, which is the man. Okay, but the husband, and likewise, see, but the husband, and likewise also the husband hath not power over his body, but the wife. Now, for you women out there, don't don't let that demon seep in your head and think that this means that your man is subject to you. That's complete nonsense, and that's confusion. Okay, there's duties and rights that a man is supposed to provide. All right, for his woman. Okay, as Paul's going to get into. That's what this means. So it says here in verse 5, defraud, see, defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your inconsistency, right? Which means basically a lack of self-control, right? When you go into that. So NLT says the wife gives authority over her body to her. See, NLT always like to, sometimes like to twist it, but really the wife doesn't give authority. It's really given, the authority is given to the man by the Most High, actually. Okay, but we'll continue. It says the wife gives authority over to her body to her husband, and the husband gives authority over his body to his wife. Do not deprive each other of sexual relations, right? And that's a real thing. Okay, that's a real thing. All right. Um, yeah, that's pretty straightforward, man. Like that's the duty of the union, right? When you boil down, you can get to the essence of the union between a man and a woman is to bring forth life through sexual relation. Okay. So if you're depriving one another of that, what do you think is going to happen? Satan's going to be in the midst, crept in unawares in the minds of both you and your woman. All right. You're going to have resentment. You're going to have this, that, and the third. Okay. And, mainly talking to you women out there, you sincere women out there, if you got men, okay, this is one thing you should not be doing. Okay. And yeah, you might be tired, this, that, and the third, but so are the men that are serving the Lord. You got to think about that too. Your man has to serve the Lord whether he's tired or not tired. So does that mean does that mean that you can take a break just because you're tired? No, that's not fair. Okay. So you got to take that to account. All right. And that's between you and your man, or obviously how you guys delegate that. But do not deprive each other of sexual relations unless you both agree to refrain from sexual intimacy for a limited time so you can give yourselves more completely to prayer afterwards. Yeah, because well, let me continue actually. It says afterward you should come together again. So even if you two both agree to take time off from sexual relations for whatever reasons between you two, okay, it says afterward you should come again. Don't do it for too long, so that Satan won't be able to tempt you because of your lack of self-control, right? So that's another thing. You don't want to be too involved, all right? And I'm talking to the men out there, the brothers out there, and obviously this should go without saying, but you don't want to be more involved in your woman than than Sophia, which is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and serving the Lord. Okay, because that's exactly where Satan creeps in unawares. Okay, and that's exactly why we fell. Okay, we fell in love with the when you go back to Genesis chapter 6. Yeah, the sons of God saw the women that they were pretty and that they were becoming. Let's get that real quick. And this was us choosing women over serving the Lord. Okay, and then what came with that is what serving their gods, their idols, and all manners of idolatry. Okay, um, Genesis 6:1, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, the sons of God, right? Israelites saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Okay. And the spirit of the Lord and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. And if you want insight on what happened, look at Solomon. Look what he did. Look what happened to him when he got into all these women, right? Especially the foreign women, made wives of them. Let's go from here and get a quick precept. Let's go to First Peter 3:1. Okay. It says here, First Peter 3:1, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands. Okay. So when it comes to anything, all right, you got to put your husband first. Okay. And that's the order. And just like the man, just like us, when it comes to anything, we got to put the Lord first. So it says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversations of the wives, while they beyond your while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. Okay. In NLT it says, by observing your pure and reverent lives, whose adorning is whose adorning, let it not be the outward adorning of plaiting the hair and wearing of gold or putting on of apparel. Okay, and this is to you women, you sincere women out there. Um, you got to think about your outward appearance, man. All right. When you look at the women of this world, man, the outward appearance is to incite adultery, right? That's why they wear uh, uh, damn near, I don't want to say short shorts, but it's not even short shorts anymore. But all you see is skin, tits, and ass all day. Okay, and what that does is it incites lust, idolatry. So being a woman that serves the Most High and loves the Most High, how about you must try? How are you to close yourself when you're out there? All right, in Babylon. So it says, who adorning, or NLT, it says, don't be concerned about the outward beauty or fancy hairstyles, expensive jewelry, or beautiful clothes. Those things should only come to your mind when you're doing it for your man. Okay, we're not here to beautify anybody else but Yahweh Shemel Shai, and there's an order. Okay, Yahweh Shai, the man and the woman. So who's the woman supposed to beautify? She beautifies herself for her man, which in terms, her serving her man is her serving the Lord. Period. Okay. But let it be the hidden man of the heart, in that which, and this also goes for the men as well, right? In that which is no corruptible, in that which is not corruptible. Yeah, the spiritual man. Even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, okay, which is in the sight of Yahweh, Bashim Shai, of a great price. You hear that? These are teachings of marriage. If you, when you women are, if you're not with a man, but when you get with a man, you have to remember these things. NLT, it says what? You should clothe yourself instead with the beauty that comes from within. All right, the spirit, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit. Learn to know when you're talking too much. Learn to read the emotional state of your man so you know how to be. Okay? It says, which is so precious to Yahweh Shemel Shai. Yeah, okay, you don't want to put on, you don't want to add more stress to what your man's already doing. Okay, and men out there, you don't want to teach, the scriptures say not to teach your woman an evil lesson against yourself. Let me see if I can bring it up. Don't teach an evil lesson. It's Sirach chapter 9 and what? Okay. It says, don't be jealous, Sirach chapter 9, verse 1. Don't be jealous over the wife of thy bosom, and teach her not an evil lesson against thyself. Exactly. Right? And look at this. Sirach chapter 9 is beautiful. Give not thy soul unto a woman to set her foot upon thy substance. Right? And the main substance you have is wisdom, knowledge, understanding, which is where it's stored in your mind. Okay? So you can't give your mind over to your woman. Your woman's supposed to give her mind over to you. Just like we give our mind over to the Most High, Yahweh Shemel Shai. Okay? It says, hey, Shalom Akia Yahweh Shemel Shai Barakatah. Shalom, shalom. Meet not with an harlot, lest thou fall into her snares. Yep. But my main point here was verse 1. Be not jealous over thy wife of thy bosom, and teach her not an evil lesson against thyself. Yeah, know the what's it called? Not the boundaries, but the limits of your woman. They are a weaker vessel. So you have to know what's too much for them, right? You can't get mad at them, curse out your woman. If you're doing too much, she can't handle all that. You're doing too much, and then you curse her out for not keeping up. You know, that's wicked, right? Give her enough, just like the Lord does with us. He doesn't give us too much. He doesn't give us more than we can handle. So you don't do the same with your woman, okay? Or else you're teaching her an evil lesson against herself, right? Because who is she going to be wicked to? When you keep doing that, she's going to resent you over time. She's going to resent you over time, and when a woman's in the spirit of resenting you, it's over. It's basically over, okay? Because Satan now is not even in the car. He's not just in the car. He's in the driver's seat, and she's no longer in the car. So don't do too much. Okay. It says here in the NLT, don't be jealous of the wife you love. You will only be teaching her how to harm you. You see, isn't that what I just said? Okay. Oh, let me pull up this brother's precept. It's a good precept too. This is from GMS Yukon, Canada. Subscribe and be edified. This is Proverbs 31 and 3. Give not thy strength unto woman, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. Damn. Okay. Which is what? Your mind. When you give your mind unto your woman, you're really destroying both of you. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and this was this was an instruction given by a woman to her son. So that's it. It was given by the horse's mouth, man, by the serpent's mouth. Okay. So let's go back here. Did I finish Peter? No, I did not finish Peter. Let me finish this up. First Peter 3 and 5. For after this manner, the old time, start at 4. First Peter 3 and 4. But let it be the hidden man of the heart, in which is no corruptible, which is not corruptible, even ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of Yahweh of a great price. For after this manner, in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in Yahweh Bashem Shai, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their husbands. Okay, so look at this in the NLT. It says, verse 5, this is how the holy women of old made themselves beautiful. Okay, so you look at the women of old, these righteous women of old, the elect ladies. Okay, what did they do? They put their trust in Yahweh, Bashim El Shai, and accepted the authority of their husbands. This is something I tell my woman. Okay, and I'll just give a quick testimony, nothing deep, but I've told my woman that it's not your place to go back and forth with me. It's not your role to argue with me back and forth. Okay. At the end of the day, in your spirit, if you still think what I'm saying is wrong or whatever, you got to go pray to the Most High because one of us is right and one of us is wrong, and the Most High is going to settle that, right? And as a man, I'm the lead, so it's not your place to go back and forth with me. Okay, you're supposed to go and pray to the Lord, all right, and ask Him to judge righteously between the matter. And that's what women, and that's you keeping yourself in authority, all right, and in subjection to your husband, as it says, being in subjection to their own husbands, right? Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, and long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. NLT says, for instance, Sarah obeyed her husband Abraham and called him her master. You are her daughters. You are her daughters when you do what is right. Just like we're sons of the Most High when we do what is right. Okay. We're without fear of what your husbands might do. Yeah, can you put it? You're giving it to the Lord. All right. You're giving it to the Lord, man. That's how you exercise faith and order. Verse 7, last verse. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. Isn't that what I just said earlier? So you got to dwell with your woman according to knowledge. Every man's woman, all right, is tailored to that man. So you should know your woman and know how to basically maneuver. Give honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel. Don't give her too much. Trust me, I'm saying this from experience. You give them too much, and then they crack under that pressure and do something wicked, and then you get mad at them for doing something wicked, and it's a toxic loop, a toxic cycle that Satan is laughing, kicking back. I'm like, look at this guy. Doesn't even know how to use wisdom, right? Getting emotional and whatnot. And as being heirs together of grace, of life, of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. NLT says, in the same way, you husbands must give honor to your wives. Treat your wife with understanding as you live together. She may be weaker than you. She may be weaker than you are, but she is your equal partner in Yahweh Shem Shai, in Yahweh Shem Shai's gift of new life. Treat her as you should, so your prayers will not be hindered. Yep. So again, don't give them too much. Do not give them too much, or else you're only heaping hell, right? More hell upon yourself. Let's get this brother's precept here. This is Sirach 25 and 22. A woman, if she, yeah, Beautiful. A woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger and impudence and much reproach. Why? Because it's too much. It's not her role. Exactly. It is not. It's a spirit. It's not her role to maintain you. She will resent you as you start as you stated. That's right. That's right. It's not her role. So if you're in a situation where your woman's maintaining you, man, get the hell out of there. All right. Make sure you maintain yourself, or else you'll bring upon legion. So let's continue. First Corinthians 7 and 6. But I speak this by permission and not of commandment. Right. And so he's basically giving you his best advice as a man of the Lord. Okay. For I would that all men were even as I myself, but every man hath his proper gift of Yahweh. That's right. Things happen, man. Right. Like, the Lord sends women and helpmates your way because you never know who they are in the spirit. But it says one after this manner and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried widow, it is good for them if they abide even as I, right? But if, which is alone, right? Up until obviously Isaiah 4:1, because women are meant to be paired with men. That's why they were created. It says, but if they cannot contain themselves or contain, let them marry. So, for it is better to marry than to burn. Yeah, because if you're just burning, eventually you're going to go off. Okay, you're going to go off. I say this as a concession, NLT, not as a command. But I wish everyone were single, just as I am. Yet each person has a special gift from Yahweh for one kind to another. So I say to those who aren't married and to the widows, it's better to stay unmarried just as I am. But if they can't control themselves, they should go ahead and marry. It is better to marry than to burn with lust. Now, I gotta say this for uh, for context sake. Remember, back then you had the women that believed there were oftentimes with the men in one house, or wherever they may be. So Paul was given these rules because of that as well, and other things too. Now you don't even have men in our congregation, or you don't have women in our congregation. We don't bring women near us, right? So keep that in mind. Now, from here, let me go to Matthew 9, right? Because right now, if you're a woman, I mean, if you're burning, then yeah, you're better off. If you're a woman and you're burning, and you believe in Yahweh Shem Shai, you better link up with one of the prophets. It's just that simple. You better link up with one of the prophets. Same thing as a man. If you're burning, man, just get yourself one woman, but make sure you scope her out wisely. Least you fall, right? Into condemnation. This is Matthew 19 and 10. It reads, his disciples say unto him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. But he said unto them, all men cannot receive the saying, save they to whom it is given. Yeah, there's brothers in this truth who just, don't deal with women, don't have women. And that's just the spirit, right? And some of you brothers are looking for women, but it's not working out. But that's the spirit telling you you're not meant to be matching up with a woman right now. Okay? You got to read the spirit. For there are some eunuchs which were born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men, right? So, that's the actual person who had his members cut off, right, from birth, right? But he's going to tie this in spiritually. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. Okay? So you have brothers who have that spirit on them. And again, if you're a brother that, is looking for a woman, but it's not working out, maybe that's the Lord telling you, I don't want you to have a woman right now. Where you are in your relationship with me, if I give you a woman, all right, things are going to dwindle. Your obedience to me is going to dwindle. So you got to take everything spiritually. It says, he that is able to receive it, let him receive it. Let's go from here. This is Sirach 9:6. All right. It says, give not thy soul unto harlots. Okay. That thou lose thine inheritance. And what's that inheritance ultimately? The kingdom of heaven, salvation. So you don't want to be giving yourself over to a harlot and then you lose salvation. Right? These females, remember, it was through Eve, right? And her beguiling of Adam is why we're in the position we are today as a people. So you gotta take heed, all right, if you're gonna go and bind yourself to a woman or get a woman to bind her and have her bind herself to you. It says, look not around, look not round about thee in the streets for of the city, neither wander thou in the solitary places thereof. Turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman and look not upon another's beauty. Yeah, that's obvious. Don't commit adultery. But as well, when it says turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman, that's the mentality. Don't be chasing these women. Do not be chasing these women. We are being built up to be the next rulers and gods of the universe, let alone just this earth, but all galaxies and other planets are out there. All right. So we have to keep that at the forefront. And there has to be a high level of conduct, self-conduct. You don't go chasing women. Okay. And that takes time to work out, but that's the mentality, man. Um, it says here, and look not upon another man's beauty or another's beauty, for many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman. For herewith love is kindled as a fire. Yep. And what's that saying in the world? It'd be the beautiful ones that are the most wicked. Okay? Get yourself a plain Jane, man. That doesn't give you a headache. Sit not at all with another man's wife, nor sit down with her in thine arms, and spend not thy money with her at the wine, lest thine heart incline unto her, and so through thy desire thou fall into destruction. Yep, everything starts with baby steps, man. You got to be very, very strict with yourself when it comes to these matters, right? At the workforce, wherever you are, right? When you're among people, you have to be very, very strict. Everything starts with baby steps, and then it leads into a bigger problem, just like the scriptures say. All right, so going back here, um, verse 10, it says here, and unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband, but if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. NLT, it says, but for those who are married, I have a command that comes not from me, but from Kahalayal Bashim Ashab Bashim Kahakadash. It's 441. Let me read that again. But for those who are married, I have a command that comes not from me, but from the Lord. A wife must not leave her husband, right? But if you're a woman and you have a husband and he's not a believer, don't leave him. Do not do that. That's wicked. Okay. It says, but if she does leave him, right? Rather, if he gives you a bill of divorce or whatever the scenario is, okay, because we are in Babylon, let her remain single or else be reconciled to him. And the husband must not leave his wife. And when you think about what Paul is the advice Paul is giving, it makes a lot of sense, man. It makes complete sense because, really and truly, you don't want a woman that's bind to a man and then unbinded, go into a next man. That's a polluted land. And all that does is breed adultery and defilement among the nation, right? So he was basically getting the Church of Corinth to stay in the spirit of being in one union, not breaking apart and then going to a next woman or a next man and breaking apart and doing it all over again. Okay. Yahushua talked about that and said this is why Moses, right, because of the stubbornness of our heart, gave that command about the bill of divorcement. Okay, because Jake was just Jake was just stubborn, man. Okay, so as they are more stubborn today, verse 12, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife, so what I just read earlier, the two verses, was basically his advice, but now he's saying this from the Lord. If any brother has a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. Okay, let's look up that word pleased. It seems straightforward, but I want to tie it to something else as well. Bear with me here. Right, so it says here in this definition, to be pleased at the same time with, consent, agreed to. All right, that's kind of what I was looking for. Agreed to, because the scripture also say if your woman um does not go the way you would like her to, right? So if she's not listening to you, simply put, cut her off, give her a bill of divorcement. But if she is okay with what you do, because again, everything needs to be tied to everything you let into your life needs to benefit your servitude to the Lord in some shape or form. That's the mentality you should have. So if you're letting if you let a woman into your life and she doesn't believe, right? She's not a believer, but she's fine to be with you and doesn't bother you too much when it comes to because obviously these our women will bother you to some degree. But if it's not too much for you as a man, leave her alone. Let her be with you. Okay, because you never know what can happen when all hell breaks loose. Okay, as he continues to say on over here, he says, "For the unbelieving husband is sanctified," and this is vice versa for women, is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, else were your children unclean, but now are they holy, right? NLT, it says, and if a believing woman has a husband who is not a believer and he is willing to continue living with her, she must not leave him. For the believing wife brings holiness to her marriage, and the believing husband brings holiness to his marriage. Otherwise, your children will not be holy, but now they are holy. Yeah, because separation, divorce actually ruins the children. Okay, it ruins children. Divorce ruins children mentally. Um, I was gonna say something else too. Oh, I was gonna say when he says the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the believing husband, she still has to be an Israelite. If she's a heathen, then you already know what happens. But if the unbelieving, I'll continue in NLT actually. It says, but if the husband or wife who isn't a believer insists on leaving, okay, if they insist on leaving, let them go. In such cases, the believing husband or wife is no longer bound to the other, for Yahweh has called you to live in peace. Don't you don't you wives realize that your husbands might be saved because of you? Exactly. And don't you husbands realize that your wife might be saved because of you? So brothers out there, you got women that don't believe, right? Don't worry about that. But they're pleased to be with you. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. When all hell breaks loose, then we're gonna see. Okay? Then we're gonna see. Each of you should continue to live in whatever situation the Lord has placed for you. You see? That's being spiritual. and remain as you were when Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai first called you. So if you were called in this truth without a man, as a woman, don't go out there seeking for men unless you're going to link yourself up with one of the prophets. Okay? And as a man, of course, if you come in without a woman, don't come into the truth now looking for a woman. All right, that's kind of that is backwards. Let the Lord bring the situation to you. All right, let the Lord. If you want a woman, pray to the Lord for a woman. If you can't help yourself and you want a woman, pray to the Lord for a woman, and let the Lord bring a woman to you. Trust me, His eyes are better than ours. He will find if you're praying to Him for a woman and you serve Him, He'll find you a woman that will better suit, okay, your servitude to Him. All right. It says, "This is my rule for all the churches." For instance, a man who was circumcised he before he became a believer, should not try to reverse it. Right. Of course not. And the man who was uncircumcised when he became a believer should not be circumcised now. Yeah, that's because ultimately, whether you're circumcised or not, if you're of the election, you get beamed up. But um, I will say that is a personal thing between you and the Lord. If you're inspired to you get circumcised as a man, right? Later on in your age, and do it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Verse 19, for it makes no difference whether or not a man be circumcised, right? The important thing is to keep Yahweh Shemashai's commandment. Yeah, circumcisions of the heart. All right. Um, yes, each of you should remain as you were when Yahweh Shemashai called you. Are you a slave? Don't let that worry you. But if you get a chance to be free, take it. Yeah, because coming from the Lord. See what you learn about this truth and the essence of servitude, all right, outside of discipline and faith, right, and obviously the fear of the Lord is patience. Letting things come to you, all right, is better than you going out there trying to make things happen, all right, by yourself. Let things come to you. It says, because if you let things come to you, then you know they're for you. Okay. And remember, if you were slaves when the Lord called you, you are now free in the Lord. And if you were free when the Lord called you, you are now slaves of Yahweh Shai. That's right. Okay. You get two more verses and we get another precept. That'll be it. Yahweh paid a high price for you, so don't be enslaved by the world. Each of you, dear brothers and sisters, should remain as you were when Yahweh Bashim Shai first called you. Con. Let's go from here. Let me get Philippians 4. Philippians 4 and 11. All right, look at that. Yahweh's provisions. Philippians 4 and 11. It reads, not that I speak in respect of want, but it says, for I have learned in whatsoever state I'm in, or I am, therewith to be content. That's right. NLT, not that I was ever in need, for I have learned to be content with whatever I have. This is why it's good to be patient. Let things come to you. Um, it says, I know both how to be abased and how to and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry. Wow. Both to be bound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Yahushua which strengthen me. That's right. I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. I have learned, this is NLT, the secret of living in every situation, which is what? Balance. The secret of living in every situation is seeking balance, right? Not doing too much, not doing too little. Okay. And that oftentimes the mentality comes from just accepting what the Lord gives you. Right. The first I guess the first step to any change, okay, and assuming the change in this case is progressive, is accepting the situation. All right, when you accept the situation, it's easier to be temperate and balanced in mind, body, and spirit. Okay, I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it is with a full stomach or empty, with plenty or little. Right? Man should not live by bread alone, but the words that proceeded out of the book, out of this book, roughly paraphrasing. For I can do everything through Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, who gives me strength. That's right. So this is Colossians chapter 3 from 24 to 25. So Colossians chapter 3, verse 24, it says, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he doeth, which he hath done. And there is no respects of persons. That's right. NLT says, remember that the Lord will give you an inheritance as your reward, and that the master you are serving is Yahweh Shai. But if you do what is wrong, you will be paid back for the wrong you have done. Yep, both if you're by yourself or in a relationship. Most High is judging everything, man. We know this, especially a union. Okay, for Yahweh has no favorites. Okay, and hey, concerning a union, something that I've learned in my union, with my woman, is that oftentimes when my woman is doing things that I don't like and it's consistent, um, I have to go back and think and reflect. Is what she doing what I'm doing to the Lord? Whatever emotion characteristics she's displaying, am I displaying that to the Lord? And hence why this is happening, why he allows Satan and these demons to jump on her to vex me, right? And when you think like, because the Lord is not a respecter of persons, okay? You're cursing out your woman for things that you don't like, and the Lord is looking at you like you do the very same things to me. Okay, so stay spiritual, man, and stay humble, but at the same time, man, above all, use wisdom with these women, man. Use wisdom with these women, because Satan's always in the midst. All right, so this is part one. It's about 20 more verses of this chapter. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna close up, giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Rachaha Kadash. All right, double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders who great millstone rule well, and have taught me this word in truth and sincerity, and peace and mercy to the whole full elect, starting with the 144,000. That's also pushing his word on throughout the four corners of the earth. Abba Ball, Kwame Shala, and Shalom to the whole full elect. Stay strong. And again, Lord willing, this lesson was straightforward and edifying.